Pastors and leaders, this is my personal invitation to you and your spouse to join me and Pastor Bridget for the 2026 Apostles Roundtable. Our theme is the blueprint for a magnetic church. 4-day experience, 8 hours a day, February the 17th through the 20th for a leadership immersion that is designed to sharpen you, strengthen you. I tell you, it's going to be amazing. Now, many successful leaders from across the nation, across denomination lines that I have mentored or influenced or coached will testify. This kind of teaching environment, it transformed their ministries. It ignited their faith. It clarified their direction. It unlocked their thinking to produce both short-term and long-term results. So no matter the size of your church, whether you are launching your church, stabilizing your church, rebuilding, or preparing for a new season of expansion in 2026, this roundtable experience will help you fine-tune your vision to build that magnetic church by maximizing what you already have. Now, I want you to profit from my 50 plus years, 50 plus years of pastoral wisdom, ministry innovation, church construction, yes, succession planning, vision casting, and the stewardship campaigns, really, that has funded so many ministries. Now, it's a unique classroom setting that's like none other. Your registration investment covers all the sessions, all the material, all the meals at the round table, giving you an experience like none other. So if you are ready to focus on this apostolic impartation and refreshing, be with us at Love City, February the 17th through the 20th for the Apostles Roundtable. Yes, the 2026 Apostles Roundtable experience. That's nothing like it. Early registration ends January the 30th. So register now, maxlifetv.org/ART 2026. I'll see you at the roundtable. This is your moment to be sharpened, to be stretched, to set yourself up for the strongest ministry year you've ever had. See you at the roundtable. Well, thank you for joining us for the preparation for acceleration leadership spots. I got some influences. Of course, you know I've been doing these with. Everybody knows this guest. This guest is none other than Pastor YPJ Miller.
So,
hey, man, thank you for being a part of this today.
I appreciate it. I told you your little glasses game is off the chain. You just stepped. I mean, you got me beat.
I don't know about that. But listen, I want to get right to the point. You know, I've been doing this thing on preparation for acceleration, and I'm really focusing on preparation, how leaders need to prepare. And so I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. You give me your best shot at it, because, you know, we live in a time when ministry leadership, it's more challenging, I think, than ever before because of the clientele that we have. And I want to get your perspective on what you see pastors, having to deal with. One thing is, what's your view of the kind of preparation today's pastor needs, spiritually, emotionally, in order to stay effective?
Apostle, everybody's being bombarded with so many different opinions because of the social media climate. They're
Okay.
exposed to a million different preachers. Back in the day, you just listened to your pastor. That was it. You went to church, your pastor gave you a word. He could speak to his community and the immediate issues that were directly affecting the immediate community around him. Now, you got to be a politician. You got to be a medical professional. You got to be a psychiatrist. There's so many dynamics that people have these expectations. So I think one of the major areas of preparation is not necessarily being an expert in every field, but having
Okay.
a little bit more insight in various perspectives and various aspects of career. Like, we do need to know a little bit about politics. We do need to have a better understanding of what's happening with our local government. And we can't just always preach the messages that make the people shout. There are times where we really have to just sit back and teach and talk about what's happening in the climate. So I believe it's very necessary for us to be prepared to answer hard questions, prepared to address things that people usually would not have to address within an immediate local assembly because we're dealing with such a broad dynamic.
So with this broad dynamic and with all the rapid changes in culture, the social media, economic shifts, all of that, what do you think pastors are struggling with most when it comes to making a decision? Because at the helm, he's got to make the decisions. What do you think we struggle most with?
It's hard because you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to be the guy that makes the decision that may not necessarily pan out the way that you hope. But I do believe this is where it goes back to us having an authentic relationship with God.
Oh
We
yeah.
can become so analytical that we stop becoming spiritual in our faith and confidence that the Lord will show us what to do. So I've had quite a few pastors call me recently and say, "Hey man, I don't even know how to address what's happening with our country. I don't know how to address what's happening with ICE, with violence, etc." And I said, there are certain measures of wisdom that we can gain from listening to various individuals that may have more insight. But ultimately, as believers, we got to still trust that God and his word can guide us through these very challenging times.
Do you see a drifting away from spirituality?
Absolutely. I think, unfortunately, Apostle, the more you're exposed to carnal opinions, the more it infects the way that you think, even if you
Wow.
don't realize it. Because I'm noticing that people are not listening to as much word as they used to. They're listening to more podcasts. You said something to me years ago. There was a guy who was going through a very traumatic time, and he said he liked listening to jazz. You told
Right.
him, you don't need to listen to jazz right now. You need to listen to the word. And
Yeah,
I believe
I told him you too broke to be listening to jazz. You need to listen to the word.
no, but there's a lot of people that right now, as opposed to feeding themselves the word of God, they're drifting away, and it's causing them to be very carnal in their opinions, their perspectives. And I'm noticing this, and I'm sure you're seeing it. People are really just blowing off the handle. They're being very hostile and they're not thinking before they say things. And so I really believe it's important now for us to get back to the basics of riding in the car and turning off some of the sports podcasts. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but getting back to some of the foundational teachings that build our faith back up so we're not intimidated by these changes.
Wow, wow. Okay. Well, what about preparing for beyond the pulpit moment? You know, I have found out that many pastors are not prepared beyond the pulpit moment, the executive skills that they need, how to really cast the vision. And I see ministries, they are struggling beyond the pulpit moment. What do you think about that?
Well, what I see, Apostle, most guys who don't know how to do something are only failing because they're not humble enough to ask for help. They won't go to a conference and invest in information, knowledge, and insight that can assist them. They don't look at a guy like you and say, well, he knows things I don't know. Everybody wants to be responsible for their own quote unquote come up. Like, I'll figure it out. And when I see people that are not prepared beyond the pulpit moment, most of them are obsessed with preaching. They just love the preaching high. They love the hallelujah and the shout. But if you really want to be great at leadership, you have to submit yourself to someone that can teach you and train you in areas that you don't have the sufficiency to quote unquote lead in that capacity. So for me, the reason I believe I've been successful is submission. It's me realizing my strengths and my weaknesses and investing in areas that can strengthen my weaknesses. And I believe if pastors and leaders would do that, they would see a great change in their culture.
I think when you look at all of the pastors who have had that success, it is that they have more than preaching skills.
Yes, sir.
And many of those preachings, well, you get, and I'm not putting seminary down at all, but I've got a friend of mine, man. He can speak, he can read the original language of the Bible. Three doctor's degree, but don't know have no pastoral wisdom and skills at all, at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And you said something a few minutes ago. I wanted to touch on this. Um, they would a pastor would say, "Well, what does Hilliard know? I mean, Hilliard is a has been. You know,
Hmm.
would how can he tell me what to do now? What do you think of that?"
I think that's absurd because scripture is very clear about the wisdom of the elders and the experiences that they have. How dare I look at a man of God like you who has pastored not just 10,000, but 25, 30,000, preached in front of millions, who's had proven traceable success and discredit you based on quote unquote age. And this is why many people fail because they get caught up in the hype that only lasts about 4 years, Apostle. I didn't see so many guys come and go. They've been at the height of the game, big conferences, major name, and 4 years later they fade away. So I think that it's really, first of all, I believe that everyone can learn from every generation. The older can
Yes,
learn from the
yes.
younger can learn from the older. But when it comes to experience, that's so priceless. And why I do my best to surround myself with people that are more. My daddy told me this. He said, son, the only way you're going to be great is to surround yourself with people that are greater than you. He said, if you won't do that, then you're going to always operate at a cap of mediocrity. So if I see what Apostle Ivy Hilliard is doing, I'm not going to be like, well, he's old. He don't know. He may not necessarily know how to utilize modern technology that just came out yesterday. Your grandkids are for that. But when it comes to knowing how to fight a devil, when it comes to knowing how to overcome a financial challenge, when it comes to building a facility, why would I go into this blind when I have somebody that could give me insight?
I learned a lot from uh, uh, Dr. Oral Roberts
Mm-hmm.
when people would say he was past his prime. He may have been, his resume may have been amazing, but his wisdom was also amazing in the moment.
Yes.
And of course, you've seen all of the building, but it's a product of me sitting at his feet and learning. And that's it. So let's wrap this up because I don't want it to be real long. How valuable do you think, what value would you put on sitting in a room where you could get this kind of wisdom?
It really is. I hate to say it, it sounds generic, but it's a priceless experience because you can skip so much trauma. See, pastoring is a thing that can create a whole lot of trauma for you if you don't understand how to avoid certain pitfalls and avoid certain oppositions and obstacles. I think biblically we saw prophetic people that would give kings insight, but they wouldn't listen. And then they would go through unnecessarily, not because the information wasn't there, they chose to ignore it. So when you're in a room with not only someone like yourself, but various builders who will not only share with you their successes, but their failures so that you can overcome those oppositions, it's priceless. And if you have to invest, you would be surprised. Watch this. I really believe this. You can invest $500, $1,000 into going to a conference, and you can save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars just by receiving some measure of insight. One of the things I learned coming to your gatherings is negotiations. I think some people think that praying in the spirit is the negotiation tactic, but you can't always speak in tongues to get a price to go down. You got to know how to negotiate. You already built a bowling alley. You already have bowling lanes in your church, right? I'm doing that now. So I'm able to talk to you and Dr. I about upkeep. What does it take to actually do that? What's the actual upkeep? These are things Dr. I told me some things and it made me reconsider like, well, maybe I don't want to do this many. Maybe I want to do this many. So rooms like that, they will empower you in a way that is just, I'm telling you, it is priceless. And I pray that people take advantage of the opportunity.
Well, I believe pastors don't just need information. I believe they need tools, they need language, and they need and they need application. That's what the roundtable is about. Thank you so much for being a part of this little pop-up moment. And I think the wisdom that you have and that you've given others today is going to be amazing. Look forward to fellowshipping with you again. Hey, y'all, I got to get out of here. This is just a pop-up on preparation for acceleration. And those pastors who are watching this, and if your pastor's not watching, you're watching, tell your pastor about the roundtable. It's going to be amazing. Stay focused, stay in faith, watch your mouth. We're going to watch God work. I'm out.
Pastors and leaders, this is my personal invitation to you and your spouse to join me and Pastor Bridget for the 2026 Apostles Roundtable. Our theme is the blueprint for a magnetic church. 4-day experience, 8 hours a day, February the 17th through the 20th for a leadership immersion that is designed to sharpen you, strengthen you. I tell you, it's going to be amazing. Now, many successful leaders from across the nation, across denomination lines that I have mentored or influenced or coached will testify. This kind of teaching environment, it transformed their ministries. It ignited their faith. It clarified their direction. It unlocked their thinking to produce both short-term and long-term results. So no matter the size of your church, whether you are launching your church, stabilizing your church, rebuilding, or preparing for a new season of expansion in 2026, this roundtable experience will help you fine-tune your vision to build that magnetic church by maximizing what you already have. Now,
I want you to profit from my 50 plus years. Wow, 50 plus years of pastoral wisdom, ministry innovation, church construction, yes, succession planning, vision casting, and the stewardship campaigns, really, that has funded so many ministries. Now, it's a unique classroom setting that's like none other. Your registration investment covers all the sessions, all the material, all the meals at the round table, giving you an experience like none other. So if you are ready to focus on this apostolic impartation and refreshing, be with us at Love City, February the 17th through the 20th for the Apostles Roundtable. Yes, the 2026 Apostles Roundtable experience. That's nothing like it. Early registration ends January the 30th. So register now, maxlifetv.org/ART 2026. I'll see you at the roundtable. This is your moment to be sharpened, to be stretched, to set yourself up for the strongest ministry year you've ever had. See you at the roundtable.